Hey guys, it's Mark from North 7 Outdoors. Welcome back to another episode. Today is not a fishing related video. I guess it somewhat is. We're going to change our fuel pump and our inline fuel filter to our two-stroke Mercury. So if you got an older Mercury and it looks like this, and you think you have a fuel pump problem, let's get into it and see what we can do about that. Alright guys, so here is the internals for it. So this is our fuel pump right here, and this is our inline fuel filter. So basically, I'm thinking I've got a fuel pump problem because it's not pumping the fuel. So basically, my outboard will only stay running if I pump in the primer ball to keep the gas going, and that way it will not stall on me. But if I unplug, let's say, the inline fuel filter and I start it, it will only stay running with the gas and the carbs, and then as soon as that's done, it dies. So I'm assuming it's a fuel issue, and if I can pump it with the primer ball and it's getting to the carburetor, then it should be just a pumping issue. So hopefully, if I take this out of here, put a new one on here, and everything is peachy keen. But let's see if that is what will fix our problems. So the hardest part for me anyways when I'm doing stuff on the outboard is usually just making room, and the oil reservoir is always in the way. Some people like bungee it over here, I've seen. I usually just take the bolt out and then I just switch it around here, and then I just move it to the side here, and I've got all this more room to work with. And that's usually just how I solve that problem. If you want to grab a bungee cord or something, you can always attach it to the side of the motor behind the starter. Alright guys, so the biggest problem I've encountered so far is going to be this guy right here, this little zip tie. I'm going to try and get it with a pair of side cutters, but I usually just take a knife to it. I'll zip tie if I'm lazy. I picked up a few of these. I mean, they're just permanent zip ties, little hose clamps that you can just leave on and loosen and tighten as needed, which I guess is probably the way to go depending on tinkering, because I'm going to try to cut it with a side cutter, but I mean, usually you end up just cutting it with a knife, and God forbid you're on the boat somewhere and you go too deep and you cut through the hose, and then you're in a lot more trouble than you need to be in. But yeah, we're just gonna cut that off, and then this is ready to go. Alright guys, so we've gotten our little zip tie off here, and it's connected to a bunch of other gas lines and all other stuff back here. I'm not going to waste my time taking this off so I can clearly access this. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to grab a pair of pliers, and I'm going to plier down right here as I pull to make sure it pulls off from this side and not that side, so I don't have to get into that. And that's my rule of thumb, is whenever you're backyard mechanicking it, make sure you don't make more work than you have to solve your problems. And really, this is what this is all about. Is I don't want to spend $300 or $400 at a mechanic shop, and I don't want to wait 2 weeks. So if I think I can do it, then I'm probably going to try. And worst case scenario, I spend 10 grand on a new outboard or 40 grand on a new bass boat. Alright guys, so we've got our old fuel pump right here. We left the hose on. I guess it's not a huge deal because we're going to attach the new inline fuel filter to it anyways, and we'll reattach it to the new one. So this is a Funi, whatever the heck that is. Focus, why are you not focusing? There you go. I found it on Amazon. I'm Canadian, so I got it on Amazon.ca, and I could not find it on Amazon.ca. So I went to Amazon.com, typed in whatever, Mercury two-stroke, and was able to find it there. Copied and pasted that pretty much and found it for about $100 Canadian. It was only like $70 US. And the only difference is that this is slightly tilted, angled out, and this is not. I may be able to shifted a little bit over, but I'm not even going to try to if I don't have to. If I have enough hose, or maybe I'll end up getting some more fuel hose if I have to make this work. But the out and in are the same location. So these two screws here, they go into the actual frame of the motor, and then these two are just to tighten off your actual fuel pump together. That's why I have two long screws here. Where are they? Right here, and then two short screws. What else is there? So yeah, just Chinese, whatever. I mean, may or may not work. I'm hoping it will work. I don't even know how much the original parts would be. I imagine I'd be waiting the rest of the summer to get these parts, even if they were reasonably cost. So we're gonna take our chance with the Chinese. So far, so good with the starter here. The starter, I haven't even had a problem with it. I just installed this one. The other one I had for like 3 years. I spent like 80 bucks on it, and never had a problem. I was like, you know what? I only spent like 80 bucks on it. Let's just change it out and get another one. So we have another starter here. But so far so good for like $80 starters. Alright, so we're gonna switch up everything and get back to you in a second. Alright guys, so we've got our fuel pump here, and we actually have the OEM part for this one, which is funny because we were replacing it with a little Chinese inline fuel filter. So we replaced it with original fuel filter to Chinese inline fuel filter to OEM. So we've got one of each still. I'll leave a link down for this one if anyone is curious. Again, this is for 2-stroke fuel pumps. I did get a zip tie in here. I was going to use those C-clamps. I probably will use zip ties. And I stand by my previous statement, which is clamps are probably the way to go. I just don't want to spend an extra like 10 minutes digging around in here and trying to tighten it up with a little flathead screwdriver. Because I don't even know if this is going to solve my problems. I'm just hoping and assuming. And those are really the two things you need to have to get through life. So, winging a prayer, baby. Let's get her done. Alright guys, so the new one's installed here. It's actually sitting cockeyed. It's not sitting flat, and that's probably because this thing was up and down instead of being cockeyed. So probably it just shifts everything around. I don't know. It said it would be suitable for this outboard, so let's see. If I have to turn this, I will. I don't know if that's going to cause problems or not. I did put a actual hose clamp on this one because it's nice and easy to get at, so that'll save me future hardship. So basically, here's my plan. And one more thing, guys, when you're putting this in, there's a little tiny wire here or something. I don't know what this is. I don't have any plans for this right now. It wants to go behind the fuel pump when you're putting it back in, so just make sure you tuck it down. It is kind of a pain in the butt to put this back in. Start at the bottom one because that's easily the hardest one to get in. Once it's a little bit threaded, start here and you know what to do from there. So basically, here's the plan. If everything's working okay, as it should be, I should have gas pumping out of the fuel filter where I didn't before by itself. So hopefully it works. But we'll find out in a second. Alright guys, so basically I've got my fuel filter facing this way because I visually want to see the gas coming out. Now I could just let it run, hook it up normally, and if it doesn't stall after 2 minutes or something, or a minute, it must be getting gas. But I physically want to see the gas come out, so we're gonna do it my way. So basically I've got a couple things propped up here. Whatever you do, if you physically want to see the gas come out, because before I could physically not see it come out, I just want to have that visual relationship here that it is coming out. Make sure you don't prop up anything next to your flywheel here, because bad things are going to happen. You don't want to know that we're re-editing this video because I almost didn't catch that. Alright, so we're about to start it, so here we go. Hopefully our next video, or next little clip here, is gas coming out the inline fuel filter, or we've got an issue here that I will not know how to solve right now. Alright guys, I thought I put enough gas in the carburetor bowl, but maybe I didn't. So anyways, we're going to turn the key, gas is going to come out of the inline fuel filter, and we know we solved our problems at the very least, because we couldn't get it to do that the other day before we installed our new fuel pump. There we go, shooting a bunch of gas right out on the middle of nowhere, north of 7. So there we go, guys. We're gonna get this hooked up, and we're gonna make sure that she's idling in a second here. But we did solve our problem, unless we have another problem we don't know of. But so far so good. And again, I opened up the back of our old where are we here? Our old fuel pump here, and I couldn't tell heads or tails about why it wasn't working. But all I can say for sure is that gas is shooting out the inline fuel filter, and we couldn't get it to do that with this fuel pump here. So there we go. Let's get her idling just to make sure that she's getting enough gas and everything. Whew. Alright guys, problem solved. It's idling fine. It's getting gas, obviously, we saw that. So I'll leave the link down to the fuel pump, and if that's your problem, if you think it's a fuel pump, my suggestion would be to possibly unplug the fuel line past the fuel pump and see if you're getting gas or not, because I was not getting gas. And also my other problem was I didn't have any gas in the carburetor bowl, so it's starting idling now fine. So that's what we want. Small fixes, simple fixes. User operator error fixes, those are the best ones to have. So anyways guys, I'm not an expert by any means. I do this so I can save a few bucks here and there, get my boat back sooner than later. And you know, I'm not saying this is the right way, but there's almost 0 videos out there on how to replace a fuel pump on a 2-stroke Mercury. And this thing is like one of the largest, I would say most numerous outboards on the market, like that are running still. And I was shocked that there wasn't like a how-to video that I could find for any model like this that was a 2-stroke. So there you go. I'll link the link down for the fuel pump to Vazuni or whatever. Anyways, I hope you guys, you know, I hope this helped in some way, because getting on the water is by far the most important thing to happen. And you know, you don't want to get broken down on the water, or you know, not that I could get broken down on the water. Just, you know, crack your fuel pump every 10 seconds, but that could be a pain in the butt. So thank you guys for watching. Hope this helped you out in some way. Not an expert, but if this helps one person, you know, it's worthwhile. So thank you guys for watching. Take care.